Alright, I'm going to show you how to work text problem 2.2 in the textbook. Here we have a time diagram of what the problem statement says. It says you're going to make payments of $15,000 in years 1, 2, and 3. Nothing in time 0. So to calculate the present value, the easiest way to do this is just to type equals present value and start a parenthesis. And what's going to pop up is a little formula bar for you if you're in the newer version of Excel. And it's asking for the rate. And so in the problem statement it says you're going to use a 15% nominal interest rate. So you can either put in 0.15 or 15%. Put in that comma, move out to number of periods. And number of periods that payment happens is 3. The payment itself is $15,000. I'm going to put it in as a positive because it's going to come out as a negative. Just the iteration routine that Excel has to do. So you kind of learn just to ignore positive and negatives when you're just dealing with one. Now we don't have a future value and we don't have a type, but if we wanted to get out there we would just put commas to get out to future value, and if we don't have a future value, put another comma to get out to type. What type allows you to do is say these payments are either beginning of period payments or end of period payments. In this sense, we're going to say they're end of period payments, and usually in the textbook that's what we're going to go with. But in your companies you might be using capital costs as beginning of period payments and revenue as end of period payments or middle period payments. So if you wanted to put that in as a beginning of period payment, you would just put a 1 there instead of nothing, and that would move it to the beginning. But since we don't, we're going to delete that, close off the parenthesis, and we'd have to have negative $34,248.38 to fund those $15,000 payments in years 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to copy this for you and move it out. And for future value, what we're going to do is type in equals future value, or FV, start a parenthesis, put in the same 15% rate. Number of periods is still 3. Payment we still have is $15,000. And we don't have a present value and we don't have a type. So we can actually close that parenthesis off right there and push enter. So the future value at the end of year 3 would be $52,000, 87.50 cents. That would be those $15,000 payments moved out to the end of year 3. I'll copy that formula for you. Move it out so you can have a little reference. There's a couple different ways you can now calculate or move one number from year 0 out to year 3. So if you had a present value, if you had the $34,248.38 right now, and you want to know the future value at year 3, that's easy enough to do by putting in equals future value, same as before, start a parenthesis, same 15% rate, same number of years, because you're moving it from time 0 to 1, 2, and 3, so that's 3 years. Your payment, you're not going to have a payment, so you're just going to put a comma in to get over to present value. And I'm going to put in negative and then click on that cell. And since it's end of period payments, I can close off my parenthesis, and we should get the same $52,087.50. The reason I put a negative sign in between the A8 is the iteration routine again that drives a positive to a negative and a negative to a positive. So I'll copy this one and put that out there for you as soon as my cursor goes. So that's how you calculate a present value from a series, and a future value from a series, and also a future value from a present value, and just moving out to the future.